Wayne Gretzky owned his junior team, and they didn't hire Pat when he was available. They made 3 coaching changes. Darryl Sutter was farming an hour and a half down the road. They never hired Darryl, Brent, or Brian Sutter. They stayed away from Ken Hitchcock, who's an Edmonton guy. Mm-hmm. They've always believed in themselves as the Oilers of the 80s, a high-octane, high-speed, puck-moving team, and they've always wanted coaches that way. This is a huge departure for them.
Huge. Big time, because it's something out of that group, you said. But Edmonton connection, is that maybe the reason why they chose to bring him in?
He's from there. He's got deep roots in Edmonton. He's got connections to Bob Nicholson.
But don't you think the problem in Edmonton is outside the coaching?
Bingo. Let's get right to it. Let's stop talking about Ken Hitchcock. The elephant in the room is Peter Chiarelli and the management group. It's been terrible.
Yeah.
For the last 10 years, Craig, we talked about this.
I've said that, and listen, I should get paid for this line, okay? Connor McDavid was a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
We know what the blessing is, and the curse is it put a spotlight on how bad the Oilers have been for a decade plus.
And
it's not changing with Ken Hitchcock coming back.
Here's my measure of good teams. Here's my measure of good teams. If you look at the three-time Stanley Cup winning Hawks, the LA Kings, the Boston Bruins, one commonality: a lot of players they drafted after the first round or brought in as undrafted free agents. Here's some of the elite teams in the league. Tampa has 10. 8 they drafted after the first round. 2 free agents. Nashville has 9 that they drafted after the first round and 1 undrafted free agent. Toronto has 7. 5 guys they drafted after the first round. That's Brown, Dermott, Janssen, Levo, Sparks, and 2 undrafted free agents, Ozhiganov and Zaitsev. Okay? The Oilers have 2.
And that's the problem.
Kyra doesn't have a goal this year. Drake Caggiula was an undrafted free agent. Now, Kyle Brodziak and Toby Reeder were drafted after the first round, but they've left and since come back. So they have 2 players that they got after the first round. So you got to have the top end guys. You got to have Matthews. You got to have Marner. You got to have Riley and Cadby and those guys in the first round. But you got to have the guys behind them. Edmonton consistently. I did a game they played 6 years ago. They had no one in their lineup that they drafted after the first round. No one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there you go. I mean, we keep talking about the drafting and everything. They blew first-round picks. They blew early first, second-round picks. You cannot build your team one player at a time just because you're picking in the top 5. They've been an abject failure in the draft department. Okay, and now you look at what Peter Chiarelli's done, trading more skill for less skill. They don't have skill. They have the best player on the planet, in my view, in Connor McDavid. They're a disaster. And and where you need to focus the attention is right on the manager's office, nowhere else.
So Carlo, the question's going to be, with this change in philosophy, all these racehorses they have are going to be asked to drag a plow.
Yeah, and that's the confusing part about it, is because Connor McDavid wants to play offense. You win in this league by scoring goals. Now you're asking these guys to step back a little bit and slow the game down?
7 Dallas Stars forwards last year had their numbers decline from the year before.
I have no problem with Connor McDavid. Will play. He'll check. He'll play defense. He'll kill penalties. The problem isn't Connor McDavid being asked to do a little bit more, a little bit different. The problem is you can ask these other players that they're not very good.
Yeah.
like Peter Chiarelli says, we have a defense that can't make a pass. Okay, what's the manager's job? Get players that can make a pass.
He put together a lot of that.
Well, put it together.
Anyways.
He was gifted, Connor McDavid.
Yeah, gifted, and that's why I feel bad for Connor McDavid, because it's a wasted talent over there. Can you imagine Can you imagine he wins a scoring title again this year? In back-to-back seasons, he's going to finish leading the league in scoring and not make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, let me tell you, you don't have to imagine it.
Well, but that's what I mean.
They could still make the playoffs. Their division's horrible. The division's terrible. So I mean, they're only 4 points out of a playoff spot. They could still make it. I mean, I do think the one thing you got to remember is, I mean,
they're 1 game under 500.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, 94 points is what you need. That means they got to play 11 games over 500. For the rest of the season.
So even if they were to make changes on that team, who are you trading to bring in?
They're 3 out of a spot. They're 3 out of a playoff spot. I mean,
I look at the 500 record, Gord. I don't look at points. They're 1 game under 500. 94 points is what I think has to be. That means you got to play 12 games over 500 of the 82 games. That means they got to play 13 games over 500 for the next 60 games. That is not easy to do.